There we are, live on YouTube. And we must let all our friends know. Alrighty. I see we have one friend here already. Friends, who is here today? Say hi so that I know you're here. We'll give our friend a minute to get here. Oh, three peoples are here. Hi, three peoples. Who's here today? Guys, say hi. Let me know who's here. Hi, Bobby. Always so great to have you, sir. I'm glad you're here today. Who else is here? I see you guys. Say hi in the comments. I know you're creeping over there. All right, friends. So I'm super excited. It is time to get started. So welcome back to the social hour, everybody. I'm really excited. Today's guest is somebody that I have been kind of friends with online for a while. We seem to keep missing each other. Every time I'm in a city, he's not in the city. Every time I'm there and he's there, I'm not there. So it's been a bummer. So I'm really excited that we finally get to meet, at least kind of in person, COVID in person today, online. Today's guest is an award-winning advertising and portrait photography. Let me start that one more time. Today's guest is an award-winning advertising and portrait photographer whose mastery of the craft has led him to being a Fujifilm Global X Photographer, a Capture One Pro ambassador, and earned him the title of Fstoppers Photographer of the Year. Whether he's photographing a car, an advertisement, the cover of a magazine, or creating a conceptual portrait, his work is always impeccably lit and composed, giving a modern edge to the timeless classic appeal of his aesthetic. Every image he creates tells a story, and there is no detail overlooked, leaving his portfolio full of masterpieces. Please join me in welcoming the wonderful and talented Jan Gonzales.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Hi, Nicole.
Hello. Oh, Pratik is here. Hi, Pratik. And Kelly is here. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
I'm super excited, sir. I feel like I've been trying to meet you for ages, and every time I go to a convention, you're not there. I feel like we keep passing like ships in the night.
Oh, maybe next time.
I know. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Let the COVIDs just come on. We need our conventions back.
Yep. Fun times.
Yes. Yeah. I'm determined to meet you in person at one of these. Hannah Walker is here. Kelly Robitaille is here. Simon Diaz is here. Hello, Simon.
Hi, bro.
Yes. So guys, as we go through this interview, make sure if you have any questions, get them in so I can ask them and we can always get to your great questions. You guys always have so many great questions. And as we wait for that, sir, I would really love to know, how did you get into photography in the first place?
Well, it was quite a happy accidental event because I was starting to hold a camera when I was still in college. We have this citizens military training here in the Philippines, and it's kind of brutal. You have to be out there and out in the sun. So I was looking for a little VIP treatment. So I had to grab a camera and was really hoping to be an official photographer of a one officer. So I did that, and yeah, eventually it worked, and it was filmed then. Um, I didn't know what to do with it, so I started reading about photography and started loving it. So that was the start of it.
Okay, so had you used a camera before military training, or was that just something that came along with the military?
Well, some point and shoots maybe, but not really DSLRs. But,
Okay.
yeah,
So just the kind of take a picture of a friend or a family member going on vacation, just that kind of stuff?
exactly.
Right.
That's just simple point and shoot. That's it.
Yeah. And so as you were taking photos while you were in this military training, was there something that started to speak to you about that? Or, how did that become, this is what I do now, but I want to do this as a career? How did that transition
Well,
happen?
it just started like, to get that VIP treatment, but that's the thing. When I started holding it, it felt like home. It's like, this is fun. This is just not like something that I wanna do, like just on a pastime, but I think I can do this regularly, like more often. So
Right.
that yeah, I think that sparked it to start.
Sure. And when you were working with it at that point in time, was it all kind of documentary stuff?
All documentary stuff, yeah, all just taking photos of everyone, and then not minding the light, not minding, because it was all in full auto, because I didn't know what to do with it. So I just had to research a little more and then learn to love it, yeah, along the way.
Right. So, what made you start to move away from documentary work and toward more kind of posed or planned portraiture, the kind of stuff that you do now?
Well, it stopped abruptly when I graduated, because the cost of film photography before was really high. So I did some other things, crazy things in life, and then just went back around 2007 when it was digital already. And then before then, I was fiddling a lot with Photoshop. So when I started digital photography, it came in natural for me. So it goes hand in hand when I take a photo and then take it to Photoshop and put it to the next level. So that made me wanna shoot like people, just portraits when I started.
So, was there something about, because I know, I mean, you also have some kind of landscape and cityscapes and you do automotive stuff. So, is that all just give me work as it comes? Or, what makes you, because I know eventually I just specialized completely. I stopped shooting all of the other stuff I shot. Why multiple work? What's keeping you in those different genres?
No, for that landscapes, every time my family and me travels, I always find time to go out and then shoot the city where I'm in, just to keep as souvenir. So that's the case for my landscape or nightscape shots, and try to learn from the landscape photographers the techniques, and I apply it, because I've always learned that if you want to become a commercial photographer, you have to be a little bit you should have a know-how on a lot of genres. Like, for example, if you need to shoot environmental portraits, so you need to get photos of the landscape itself plus a portrait. So a little bit of everything.
Right. And so where did automotive come from? I mean, you have, these kind of different genres that a lot of times you don't always see mixing in
Yeah.
people's portfolio.
Okay. Automotive came in because I am a racer before. As you can see it in my back, I have a helmet there.
Oh,
I used to race in jet skis and go karts, and I love cars. So I also learned on how to shoot automotive photography. So I shoot actually what's near in my heart. So that's the things that I love. Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Photoshop and being able to bring something in and kind of finish your vision there. Has that always been a big thing for you? Is Photoshop a really integral part of how you finish your images? Because I know some people, they don't use much. Other people like me, like I'm definitely in there a lot. Is that a big part of your workflow?
Yes, this is it. Post-production and photography and my post-production come in hand in hand. Yeah.
So
It's
go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. As I've said, it comes hand in hand, and then I just take it a notch level where photography has its limitations, and then I just wanted to just put an X factor to it. So that's where Photoshop comes in.
Right. So there's a little bit of magic in there.
Well, yeah, sort of. Especially when,
Yeah.
especially when I started, which I didn't know where to place lights, so you had to struggle with post production. But as I learned, you evolve, you learn to light, and then little less post post work. Yeah.
Right. No, I know a lot of my skill in post production comes from the fact that I had to fake it a lot in Photoshop. Like, oh no, I missed
Yeah.
this exposure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So were you as artistic as a kid? Were you interested in imagery or making things, or was this kind of journey into creation happenstance?
Not sure because my grandfather was a photographer. I have his old camera here with
Aw.
me. So I don't know, maybe it's genes. I'm not sure. It just popped in. I was a racer. I also flew before. I was a private pilot. So
Wow.
I really did a lot of things in my youth.
Yeah, you did. Wow. And those like it's interesting because racing and flying, that's all pretty intense stuff. Did you kind of carry
Um,
that intensity over into photography, or do you find something else in photography that draws
I
you?
think so because I really started to be very adventurous in doing my photography. And aside from being so picky on things and being wanting things to be perfect, I don't know, it must have come from somewhere from my past. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mention kind of being picky a little bit and wanting things to be perfect because I feel like when I look at your work, there definitely is this element of like everything has been perfectly placed. It is exactly where it's meant to be. It's just like everything was so neatly brought together. And I know for me, I like to feel like I'm going there, but I never am quite. There's always like something still messy where I come back around and I'm like, oh no, I had to fix that now. Do you think that that's like, because you better be kind of a perfectionist if you're flying, right?
Yep. Yep. No room for errors. There's no reset button for that.
Right, right. So you think you maybe kind of brought some of that with you along into photography?
Yeah, especially when coming to preparation and all. So yeah, I try my best to come prepared always.
Yeah. So do you do more? Some of the people that I've talked to have said that what they do is they have kind of a general idea of what they want. And I think Brett Stanley said it my favorite way, but he said that he makes an environment in which good things can happen. And then he tries to catch the good things that happen. And then other photographers who have, like, I generally have already a picture in my head, and I will try to make as close to I can, I try to make that come to life. Where do you fall on that spectrum of, because everything is so perfectly placed in your images, do you already have it really visualized?
I have it in my head, and then I also work with a team, which helps me put it all together. So I think every shoot that I do, I think it over first, and then make a sketch about it, and then just execute it. So,
Sure.
but all the props there, it's more of a pulling some things together beforehand, so everything comes into place. So yeah, it gets a little daunting when preparing because especially if it's a scheduled shoot and then you need to pull some stuff around. So it's kind of tricky, but it's
Sure.
doable. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do they come to you? I mean, is it through just things that you already enjoy? Is it client suggestion? Is it, you stumbling across things that you find interesting? How do you get your ideas for images?
Well, when I started, I was all like composites. Like if you have seen on my website, I have their CGI and stuff. I
Yes.
do a lot of composites before because I didn't know how to light. I didn't know how to set up sets and everything. I didn't know it was even possible, and I didn't have that space before to build a wall or something. So I started with that, with those crazy ideas, and then eventually I moved on. When I learned lighting, I tried to build my first wall, and then from there I expanded to second wall, to putting stuff inside. So it's just like a normal progression. Yeah.
Sure. But so my ideas definitely come from things that I already enjoy. I mean, I have books or movies, music, poetry, just escaping into the world of my imagination is usually where that kind of imagery comes from for me. Is there
Mhm.
anything specifically that kind of inspires you to create the images that you make?
Movies. I watch a lot
Movies.
of movies, and I pay attention to the lighting, cinematography. So it's where I draw my inspiration, and then just evolve from there. What can I do from what I have? Yeah.
So what is it you think about? Is it the stories or is it the visuals? Like, what is it that draws you the most to
It,
film?
it is the visuals. The stories, yes, when you enjoy to watch it, but if the visual is nice, I'm more likely to finish the movie. And
Okay.
yeah. I'm into the visuals, especially with nice posters. If I see a
Right.
movie with a nice poster, then I think I'm watching it.
That's what I'm like with book covers. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, I'm going to read that one.
And
Or
it ends
titles
up
too.
you get frustrated, or the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely there are times when I will stick with a movie if it's really visually compelling, even if I'm not that interested in the story. But if it could have been a great story and the visuals are really terrible,
Mhm.
then yeah, I might not finish watching it.
That's right.
So that makes
Same
sense.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so you mentioned, looking to movies as inspiration and then kind of putting that into your photography. Before the interview started, you said that you've been doing some kind of DP work. So tell everybody about that, because I'm thinking they're going to be as kind of amazed as I am that this is actually a thing. So what have you been doing?
Yeah, because I have a friend who's a celebrity here in the Philippines. So they are doing, as part of the lockdown procedures, they can't go out. So they are doing home studios. So I'm helping them set up their home studio. I'm helping them set up lighting for commercials that they're doing. So I'm basically doing a DP for them. Yeah, just the lockdown periods. But
Which
it's really
is
nice.
It's
It's
so
crazy.
cool. Yeah,
Crazy
I
cool.
never would have thought that would be a thing. And then when you say it, it makes so much sense. Like, of course, I mean, productions are going to keep going, and the safest way to go about it is to ask an expert, like, where do I put my things? And
And
so
just to buy
right. And
what
do
like
you
that.
consult with them for like what type of lighting that they should be getting as well, like in advance, what they should buy?
Yep. I asked him for what are you looking for, pegs, on what you're going after. So I'll know what we'll get, and the budget and everything, and how big is the space that you have. So it matters, because the if they have a small space, then you have to settle with small lighting. If they have a generous place, then you can go crazy with modifiers and all. Yeah.
Right, sure. So doing that now, does that give you any interest in maybe going like full DP or cinematographer at some point in the future?
I'm not.
No,
I'm not seeing that.
it definitely seems like it would be quite a bit more daunting.
Yep. Yep. And
Yeah,
to deal a lot more a lot of people.
right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned building some of your own sets. That's something that I'm super interested in because
Okay.
um, I want I want magic and I want to go places that I can't go. And it seems like it's probably going to be cheaper for me to build a small set in my garage than it will be to like location scout and hop on a plane and go somewhere. So how did you get into set building? And then after you answer that, I would love to get some tips from you and find out what are some things that people can do to kind of make themselves these sets.
Okay, it's fairly simple. I just get to start with, like I just started with one wall. So it's going to be like 1 4 by 8 plywood, and then just make it stand and then paint it, and there you go. You have one wall already, and then add another one for depth, add another one for V shape angle, like a corner in a certain place, and then just decorate it with what time period you want it to have. Like for us here, I really it's very difficult to be at par with the like the global market in photography. If I stick to the norms, it's just shooting plain backgrounds and all that stuff. It won't catapult me to the how you call it, the place where I wanted to be in. So I thought to myself, I should start building a set, and maybe I work from there, and accomplish something like that. I enjoy it, and the thing with building sets also, it's not just that you have to learn how to light it.
Mm,
That's the, I think, the more challenging part of it, because it's a blank canvas. You don't have anything there, so it's up to you on how you can express yourself and what light to put in there. So if you have all the disposal, then good for you, but it is tough on what to use. If you have limited disposal, then you have a reason to fail.
right. That's
you
a
know
really good point. So how do you have any particular ways that you approach lighting a set that you've built?
yeah, first, like, let's just take the Sleepless Beauty set that
Yes.
I okay. So
Yes.
what I had in mind for that was it lit by a moonlight from outside, and then just it's very subtle, bless you.
Sorry.
Uh, it's a very subtle feels on the shadow side, not overwhelming feels. That's just the tricky part. Is the main light for that was just one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, a beauty dish, or I'm not sure, even a bear head. I don't know. I forget already. And then I just place it outside the wall, and then the window itself.
I'm going to
The
grab
window.
this up for
Yeah,
our
yeah.
viewers real
Okay.
quick. There we go.
The window itself makes it automatic. The gobo, so the light will be filtered
Right.
through, and then yeah, just go directly to the model and to the subject and the frame there and the wall, and then not hitting the other parts of the set. So that's practically it, and just placing lighting where it is needed, and the correct power for it, so it just gives you enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So for a set like this, how long did this take you to build? Because it's so, I mean, a lot of the props are so intricate. How long did this take?
It's less than a week, maybe 4 days.
Okay.
It was done
And
really fast because I produced this for Fujifilm Global for
uh-huh.
a launch of a camera. So with their timeline is very, 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 very short, like 2 weeks with zero information yet. on what to do. So the first week I think of what to do, and then I gather all the people that can help me, and then the following week is execution week. So from the build set was I think 4 days, and we were hurdling with the bed here because we were planning to create a bed, right? But
Okay.
if you put it like a period correct bed, it's kind of intricate to do in 4 days, right? Where do I
Yeah.
get? So I have these frames lying around, and old frames. I buy stuff and then just store them maybe in the future, and I cut it into two pieces. Like the one is the headboard, the other part was the headboard, and the other one part is the foot part. So
Okay.
it made it really work. I think for me that the bed frame was really the magic for this, and then all the rest were just roses and all those dried stuff, all the leaves, and um, all the props. Is the other things needed were all available. So I think that's the
Right.
hardest one there. Yeah.
So were you able, I mean, did you kind of reuse this set for other things, or once it was done for this, it was done?
No, I reused my set. My first set, my first two angled boards. I think I used it fairly like 5 times, 6 times, and even up to now,
Okay.
if I need a wall, I just pull it up and then repaint. Change the paint, the texture.
Sure.
Yeah.
And where, like, so I know for those of us, people like me in my condition, and then some people don't even have a garage, but most of what I do in my garage. Where do you build your sets and where do you keep everything?
I have a space. Lucky to have a space here in our compound. I have a studio. It's about a 300 square meter studio, so it's long, high ceiling. It's called a
Sure.
vault. This is where I experiment. This is where all the things that happen. Everything happens here. I do all my testing, lighting experiments, the set building. If I don't shoot outdoors, I do it here.
Right on. So you said that that one was for one of the Fuji launches.
Yep.
Did they say, "Hey, what can you give us for this?" and you had to brainstorm something, or did they have kind of an idea that they pitched you for putting together an image like that?
No, what's good about my work with Fuji is that they give me a free hand to what to do. But the only thing, as I've always said, the only drawback to that is there's just no options to fail. You
Right.
know, because the idea comes from you and you have to execute it properly. And then it's everything's not rehearsed. Like everything happens in one time, the filming, the shooting, and there's no turning back. Like the budget's there, you cannot overspend, you cannot do it again. So there is really no option to fail. It's just one thing that keeps me awake at night.
Yeah, no pressure, right? No
No
pressure at
pressure.
all.
Yeah.
So I know we already talked about a little bit about post-production. So I'm going to just pull this up again, and I would love for you to share a little bit about how you make post-production choices when you're working on an image like this. Did you already have kind of a color palette in mind for post where you knew you were going to be working off these reds and blues, or was that something that you discovered after you'd shot it?
No, actually, I really thought about it. What complementary colors? So the walls kind of greenish, and then what complements it? The reds of the roses, and then everything must. I think I pre-visualize everything before I shoot all the colors, and I do that. I open adobe.color.com to check on colors and watch what matches. So it really helps in post prod, and because I don't really have so much time to work on these projects. Especially, I'm shooting at JPEG for these projects because
Oh, wow.
raw support is not yet available for this. So it's all
Okay.
yeah.
So you have to get as much right in camera as
exactly
possible.
as possible.
How difficult did you find balancing your key light with your, I mean, you needed, I'm assuming, some kind of ambient fill, yeah? Or were you like flashing, or how did you handle finding the right balance
I
of light?
think for this image, I was using like one, two, maybe four lights. Okay, one as main light as acting as the moonlight from
Hmm.
outside, and then I had two umbrellas over the top here, foot and candle side. Those two umbrella was really like powered really low just to
Right.
give enough shadow detail. I'm always looking for putting a feel like that it's not there. So it's just
Yes.
like yeah. It's very hard to explain, but just getting it on the right sweet spot. So it's difficult to explain. Just so you get the perfect balance of the highlight and shadows. And I think the
Right.
other light I placed outside, you see the background, which is
Uh-huh.
yeah, like a sky or something. It was
Right.
actually it's not composite. I printed some big tarp and then placed it outside and just
Oh, that's awesome.
so because we were shooting photo and film for this one. So I didn't want to see when you're shooting BTS and see a
Ah,
white wall outside the window. So I wanted to look as much as real as much as possible. So yeah.
sure. And I'm just going to, I think there are some more of her. So, and then obviously for this one, we have kind of quite a bit more brightness happening. How
Yeah.
much of the light that's on her is the practical light from the candles, and how much did you add?
Okay. I was this is the camera for this one is the XH1, which has IBIS, in-body image stabilization. So
Right.
I was hand holding. I think I was at 1/20 or something,
Oof.
and just proving that IBIS really works. So I wanted to get that warm light from the candle, and then just putting in a little bit of flash for fill for this one. So it's a
Right.
mix of ambient and flash.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know how tricky it is to shoot with candles.
Yeah, but
um,
what the good thing about this one is I have a light which I can spoil where I know where to put my main light already because I have the candle there, so just have to you know simulate my other light somewhere there. So I
right.
have reference already. Yeah.
And I noticed you have a little bit of smoke coming in through this window here. What did you use for that?
We have a smoke machine.
Nice. Is
Yeah.
it a ground fogger or just a regular smoker?
Regular smoke machine, and then I it's the ground fogger you're talking about is the one with the complex thing, the very cold one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't use that this time, but I have a makeshift to make a fog machine be a ground fogger.
Right.
Uh, Place it in a cooler and then put some ice.
Uh-huh.
That's what we did here. So the smoke goes
Right.
over. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And what made you decide, was it just the candle and shooting kind of low so that you're getting a lot of that additional ambient light that made this kind of a brighter, warmer image? Or was that a conscious choice just to kind of play and see what it would feel like?
Conscious choice. It's always there because I was running like okay, first set is this one, and then I have to get some sort of a variation on the set, and then whatever comes, just play with it. You know.
Right. Makes perfect sense. I know, certainly looking through as just a fan of fantasy, I was absolutely drawn to that series. But I've noticed that there were a few others. So is this a set build in your compound as well, or is this somewhere else?
This is a set build, the largest set that I've ever built in my studio. Yeah, this is for the GFX 100, the medium format camera of Fujifilm as well.
And
And
how long did this one take?
oh, fast, maybe a week.
Wow, that's it. Were you, was it you? Did you have a team? How did that
I
work?
always have a team. my PD, his name is Kaloy. Special mention to my PD Kaloy. He worked with the production of Transformers before. He's got some experience,
Fun.
so I love working with him. So he helps me a lot on the props, on the walls, on the treatment. So I'm very lucky to have him in my team. And then yeah, so this is, as I've mentioned, this is the biggest set that can fit in my studio. I really maximize it. And like the wall should be like, I think if I'm not mistaken, about 25 feet in height. The
Wow.
we have, yeah.
It's just really, really taking advantage of that space.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yes.
also I wanted for example, if I do a promo for a camera, I always make sure to enhance the or show the forte of the camera. For this is a 100 megapixel camera, so I had to put a lot of details into it.
Right. Take advantage of that space
Yep.
so you can do all of the zooming. Yes. Outstanding. So let me go ahead and, I'm going to switch this back over here real quick. All right, so we have a couple questions coming in. So Ken would like to know where you got the outfit for those themes you created. So I'm assuming, let's see here. I'm assuming that he's just talking about in general. I mean, so many of your images have these really just outstanding, beautiful, complex, costumes. Where do you source those from? How do you get these awesome pieces?
Okay, so we have them custom made here. I have a stylist who does it for me. I just give them the pegs that I want, and then they work from there. They are free to modify. They also do their own research on what to add. So I just give them the rough idea.
That's pretty outstanding. Wow. Yeah. So you're really working with a pretty incredible group of artisans.
Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And what's good thing about my team is that we know each other already, the kind of environment that we're in, and they know what I'm always looking for. So we don't like settle for things that that's okay. It should be that's it, not that's okay. So that's it.
Right. So let's see, we've got a couple more questions in. Gary Monroe would like to know, how do you balance how much you're shooting in camera versus what you're compositing afterwards?
It depends. Like for the set, I don't really do much composite. If it's a composite, like for the last image that we've shown, it's just the sky outside for that image.
Right.
Nothing else. But for a composite, I would prefer to have the background rendered first or shot first before I shoot the main subject. So I'd have a reference for the lighting, so it would look natural.
Right. Yeah, I find that the most comfortable way to go in general as well, to know where my light's going to be at when I shoot the portrait, so that it just feels like it was all done together.
Yep.
So I know that you have also, you're working a lot with rendering as well, and different kind of CGI aspects. How did you move into that area? What made you decide? Because I mean, most of us we're looking for backplates, right? Like we're looking for things that other people have shot stock or things that we shoot ourselves. What pushed you towards CGI?
Okay. Way back maybe year 2000, I have a company who does CGI rendering for architectural projects. So
okay.
I also have a team that knows how to render stuff. So I still pull their talent out here in photography. So it's all interconnected. Everything that I did in the past was like interconnected with my photography today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how I know for myself, as a writer,
Mhm.
as an artist, somebody who draws, somebody who paints, and then moving toward photography, it's so strange to see. I thought that maybe those things would get left behind when I focused on one thing. And I realized that I always continue to draw little pieces from that, even though it seems like they're not connected. The ability to tell a story with words helps in my ability to tell a story with images, and the ability to paint and draw helps me in post-production. And so it's really interesting how those little pieces from the rest of your life can still come in together to
Sure.
build this new thing that you make with photography.
That's true. I agree with that.
So interesting, I think. So Jay Oliver would like to know the image with the balloon. What type of flooring did you use? So I'm going to go ahead
Oh,
and pull that up as
yeah.
well, so that
I think
our guests can see. And we'll go in here. I'm assuming this is the one he's talking about.
that one. Yeah. Okay. I have planks of wood for flooring here. It's just an inch thick, and then maybe 8 inches wide, 8, 9 random pieces that I had made, and then I paint the other side with black and then the other side with white. So it depends on the use. I can just flip them over. So it's real wood that I'm using here.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And so and this, I know this is CGI, right?
Yeah,
The background.
Yeah, and then
Right.
the model was shot in the studio. Yeah.
Right. And so is it the case that you would choose to do CGI when it's something you're not capable of building, or is it mostly if you are I mean, obviously something like that would be like fairly expensive and difficult to build. Or is it also like, I'm not going to use something like this again in the future if it's not worth maybe
Actually,
putting together?
this is a commercial project that I did. The brief was to shoot somewhere in a cathedral.
Right.
So what I proposed is we cannot fly because the cost and all. I might as well do a composite and then have the background rendered, and then we shoot the model in my studio, and then I'll put everything together. So I'm happy they believed me, and then we pulled it. Pulled the trigger.
Sure. That's outstanding. Do you think, with especially now that we're looking at things like COVID and other stuff, and as CGI becomes so much more prevalent within kind of the realm of photography and advertising, do you think we're going to see companies start moving in that direction a little bit more, where CGI becomes more of a part of the production process?
I think so. I believe it's going to be on that direction. Especially, I've seen a lot of people doing very, very realistic CGI. So it's very hard to distinguish if it's a rendering, if it's a photo. So I think, and it will cost a little bit cheaper in production.
Right.
So I believe it's gonna go hand in hand again.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I know for a product photography, CGI has really kind of taken big bites out of that part of the industry, but it's great to see it used in something like fashion advertising as well, because that's certainly an area where, I mean, if you have to fly a model and an entire crew and do lodging and have craft services and everything like that, to put together an image like that, the cost is insane.
Yeah, and I wanted to add regarding CGI. When I started automotive photography, I was really thinking it hard because I built my studio thinking I can put in cars and then things like that. But again, I got a very good advice from a very good photographer in the Philippines. He told me that just be careful because automotive photography is going to CGI. This was like 7, 8 years ago. So just be careful. If you invest that much, you might not get enough clients to pay for it, or get frustrated. So what I was thinking, I'd still build it, but most of my clients in automotive photography are car collectors, but not the manufacturers. So
Okay, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
So they want images of their babies to
exactly.
have.
Yes,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. So
yeah.
do you, I know, so a lot of your images on your website, when we're looking at a lot of the commission stuff, is this, I know you have a mixture in there of, you've got some kind of advertising for companies like Pocket Wizard and Fuji, for jewelry designers and things like that. But then a lot of the portraits, are those things that you are shooting for as like Fuji as well, or Capture One, or are those clients that are coming to you being like, make me magical?
No, the portraits. I think that's the thing that I'm looking for.
Ah, gotcha.
So I tend to produce them myself and shoot what I love. Like this
Right.
is the treatment that I like, and then if a client comes along that likes it, then good. If not, because most of commercial work done here in the Philippines is very commercial. Like just give you a peg, and then those clinical type of
Sure.
shots. It's really clean and all. So you just have to be there, set up the lights, boom, 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 and then you're done and go out. Things like that. So this thing makes me like I have a series there called When Angels Become Mortal.
Yes.
Those are the type of images that I really love. So I
Mm-hmm.
tend to produce it. Yeah.
Sure. And how often, I know sometimes for work that is outside of the norm for your market, it can be really hard to get people in for that kind of stuff. Have you found it starting to work, or is it still a little bit of a struggle to get people to come for that kind of stuff?
Well, it's starting to pay off actually. Yeah, a lot of people is asking like, you know, um, I don't really do normal family portraits or
Right.
um, what you call this pregnancy portraits, but they want
Mm-hmm.
treatment like that. It's perfect for that. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So I do that with them, but don't post it in my website though.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I will tell a lot of young photographers, a lot of newer photographers, that everything does not belong in your portfolio,
Yep,
because they'll
exactly.
say, well, somebody came and they wanted me to do this. I'm like, well, are they going to pay you? Because you don't have to tell the world that you did it. Make them happy. Take their money, give them something beautiful, but it doesn't have to go in your portfolio.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Gary Monroe has another question. He says, when you look at your past work, what do you wish you did differently, or what do you do differently now that has had the biggest impact on your work?
Maybe shooting outdoors
Ah,
because I think every time I do a production, I always try to make it better the next time, make it better the next time, and the most difficult shoot that I did was like on the cave shot in my portfolio. It's brutal. Like we have to travel so many hours and hike up, and then but when you get there, I brought along like a bunch of people, like almost like 37, 38 people with me for
wow.
production. So I'd like to do something like that a little more.
Sure. Let me share that with everybody as well, because it is pretty extraordinary. And then I have a couple of questions, as well. So we're looking here, and these shots, yes?
Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah, which is incredible. So when we're looking at these, skip over there really quickly. When we're looking at these cave shots, it's obviously, I mean, this obviously is a really incredible location. Were there any issues with like permits or usage, or was it difficult to be able to get in there for these?
well. I had to do a location scout for this one, and then ask because this is a reserve in our area. So I had to
Okay.
talk to people. We really need to have a guide and then set up the guides on what they will be going. So I have to arrange this for quite a bit just to
Right.
execute everything. Yeah.
Sure. And what was the difficulty in lighting these the way that you wanted to light them? Because I mean, obviously, look, the ground is insanely uneven. That had to be really super tricky.
Really, very, very tricky. One example is for this image, the model is on top of a rock. So you have your modifier or light should be level or at least higher than the model, right?
Right.
Just so making the angle of the light realistic than coming from below. Okay.
Sure.
So the struggle was the ground was uneven. Even though I had those stands, I had the longest stands in the world. We brought it out there, but it's putting where I wanted to place that's difficult because
Right.
I wanted to instruct like put it a little bit back. Sir, we can't because it's a cliff already. There's a rock. We cannot. By all means, please do it. I just tell them that, but just have to make compromises.
Right. So what moved you? I mean, you have this huge space to build and shoot that so many photographers would be salivating over. What moved you to start shooting outside more often?
Well, I think it's because of the challenge. It's the new environment that I'm looking for. Because before when I always shoot with editorial, we always do on location shoots. So I miss that. And
Right.
it's very costly to produce it in my studio just to create a room with stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of pulling power. So it's also good to go on a location and just bring your light and then everything's there. It's
Yeah.
easier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. David says, question, how do you find 30 to 35 people who want to hike that far?
Well, it's a production. I had to make sure. Again, this is for Fujifilm for a new lens for the GFX. So I had to make sure that I have everyone. Like I even have a nurse there, a set nurse, a makeup artist. Actually, the BTS is in my website also. Maybe later on you guys can browse for it. I have everyone. All my crew was there, so I pulled them together just to make it happen.
Like you do. You got to just round them up, make them power through. Becca Bjorky says, all magic, I die.
But the good thing is we have a film company here in my city, which a lot of people have experience already working. So
Right.
it's easier to get those kind of people, the real grips, the real assistants that who knows the things that you're supposed to do. So
Yes. It's always so great to work with people who have worked on film sets because you definitely will get tough. You will get tough people then. They know how to put up with stuff.
And working with photography work compared to doing film is very light because in film you have to bring those big lights, those heavy stands and everything. Production for photography, I think for them is really nothing.
Right. So Ken would like to know, where do you get your inspiration for the theme of when you're out of ideas?
Well, watch more movies. Yeah. There's a lot of reference out there. I think you can never run out of ideas. Like it's just about of thinking if you can do this or not, because there are things that is very hard to do. Then and I try to evaluate myself if I can do it or not. I just not gonna waste time if I think I won't be able to do it because again there's no room for no options to fail for
Right.
such a production. Yeah.
Right. Jay Oliver would like to know, what's your favorite camera and lens combo?
Okay, it's I'm gonna be biased here, but it's the truth. It's the Fujifilm GFX 100 with a 110
With a
mm.
110.
Yeah, with a 110. Yeah, because I
Ah,
wanted to shoot mainly portraits. Hi. So yeah.
right on. David Parrish says, I'm coming down, Jan. I need to access people who want to hike.
You have a lot of people here. Yeah, you can come.
Yes. So since a lot of these incredible images you made for Fuji, how did you develop that relationship with them in the first place?
Well, 2013 when I was first signed as ambassador here in the Philippines, and then from then on we started working together, and then I'm just so lucky that Fujifilm Global noticed my work, and also Fujifilm USA. And then from then on, it just happened. I'm very grateful for that, and I'm really happy that they trust me and my instincts.
Well, I mean, I think they have good reason to trust you, sir, at this point. All right, guys. So we are nearing the end of our hour. We only have a few minutes left. If you guys have any last minute questions for Jan, please get those in really quickly so we can ask them before we go. And as we wait for those, the question that I always love to ask everybody at the end of every show is, what is your why? Why make things? Why create as a living?
Because it makes me happy. It makes me want to wake up every day and be creative. Puts a smile on my face.
Do you ever wonder what it is about making that is fulfilling?
Well, I think it's the how should I call this? It's the what's the word? It's very difficult to grasp. The content of your vision turning into something that you created yourself. I think that's it. It just put a smile on my face. Like I was thinking of it like a year ago, and now it's here, and I did it, and now it's printed like for my printer at the back. So
yes,
looking at it, I'm happy. I'm happy.
I agree.
It turned out well. Turned out okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about taking something inside your head and then making it real that just is so
priceless.
Yes, agreed. All right, so last questions before we start closing. Ken L Photography would like to know, before Fujifilm, what brand did you use?
I was a Canon user.
He was a Canon user. Beckham Bjorky would say, she says, just over here swooning. That's all. Jay Oliver would like to know, how do you get the funding for the ideas for when you're making your own portfolio work?
Okay, so that's why I do some commercial work for that. So
right,
you get that funding.
Do your commercial work, take that money, make what you want. David Parrish wants to know if you'd like to make a tutorial. We'll chat about that later. All right, everybody.
Let's make it happen soon.
Right? We are at the end of our hour, our social hour with Jan Gonzales. Everybody who is here today, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your questions. I always appreciate having you guys here. If you felt like this interview was valuable, if you could share it with people who you think could benefit from learning from this incredible artist, that would be amazing. John, where can people find you online?
Okay, it's from my website, www.jangonzales.com, IG, Jan Gonzales Photo, and I am in FB also, fb.com/Jan Gonzales Photo, and I have some tutorials behind the scenes in Patreon, patreon.com/Jan Gonzales, and I have a YouTube channel which I just started recently.
Oh, fingers in all the pies. Right on. So all of Jan's links will be in the description below, so you can go follow him, show him some love, go check out his BTS, go learn from him. I thought that the BTS of the carnival shoot was so fun. And also the Lady in Water. So go check those out. Follow him on all the things, show him the love, and then go take some of the stuff that he talked about today and put that to use in your own career. Learning from amazing artists like Jan can only increase the coolness of the stuff that you make. So everybody, thank you. We will sign out of YouTube. Jan, thank you so much for being here.
For having me.
All right, everybody, be here with me next week. It is the last interview. Actually, tomorrow I will be interviewing author Savvy Lizer. So be here for that. And then next week, next Tuesday, the last photographer of the year. I will be taking December off. So the last photographer of the year, Becca Bjorky, will be here talking about the amazing images that she makes, including some of her incredible CGI composites where she blends CGI with portraiture, sometimes making incredible creatures out of her subjects. So be here for that. And until next week, everybody.